There are a lot of great videos out there for get home bags, but today I want to talk about actually getting home, helping you, enabling you to build a plan and also prepare a get home bag that is as efficient as it can be. If this is something that you might find interesting, then hang tight, and I hope you find this video to be helpful. So you may be asking, why would we need a get home bag? I think actually most people have some ideas. I don't want to go too deep into this, but just to name a few, you could have an electromagnetic pulse, which is an EMP, a coronal mass ejection, which is a CME, cyber attack. Probably the most likely thing that could happen is a cyber attack that could create a situation where your credit cards don't work and you didn't think through filling up your tank and you can't get home. So, and that's something that doesn't take a big, powerful government to do. It could be some guy in his mama's basement, and so it's just a good reason to prepare and have a little contingency plan in case something goes haywire. The first thing you need to do is if get a plan. If you don't have a plan, get a plan. Figure out how far you are from your home when you go to work or wherever this is, wherever you go most of the time. Know what it will take for you to do that. If you're walking, do some calculations on that and figure out what that's going to look like. You're going from 60, 70 miles an hour to 3 miles an hour. So, it could be slower, it could be faster, just depending on who you are. So that's critical. Pick out some routes. Find a primary route first. Probably don't want to pick, and everybody's cases are going to be different. You probably don't want to pick the interstate or a major highway. You probably need to look at some side roads that are, maybe major thoroughfares that are not the major highways, and get you a map. There are a lot of good maps you can get, and figure out what's best for you. It depends kind of where you're at. If you're in a major city, that you should be able to find some good paper maps that have every street. If you're going to be commuting out, walking out to, some suburb or something, they may not have all the streets. You got to realize your phone's probably not going to work. If you're on foot, you probably lost that wonderful device that makes our lives so easy these days. If you have a family, obviously you want to work together and build this plan together, knowing what each person's responsibilities were. If you've got children, do you go straight home? Do you need to stop and pick up a kid somewhere? A lot of it would depend on where they're located and what's practical. But just get all that ironed out. Obviously, you don't want to be scaring your little kids and some kind of spooky, scary get home plan, but you do need some level of communication and working together. Something I want to add here is if something like this were to happen, all the rules change immediately. You really have to have a good sense of situational awareness. You need to be prepared to break away from social norms. The way you greet people, the way and I'm not saying not to be nice to people, but people are going to get desperate. You're trying to get home, and you're going to have to keep your cool, not draw attention to yourself. You're going to have to make some decisions about if you want to walk with people or just be alone. And I think that's a case by case basis, but it's something to be thinking about how you'll act and how you'll react when you encounter people. Something else to think about is I don't think you want to look more prepared or act more prepared than the people around you. I think it's good to play ignorant a little bit. I'd try to keep a low profile. Choose clothes that you won't be drawing attention to yourself. I think you need to go with grays. A lot of people that talk about this talk about the gray man. clothing, something that's just kind of dull and not necessarily a bunch of camouflage and everything, which would, make you look like some kind of tactical genius or something possibly. I would, if something like this happens, men and women need to keep clothing that's not going to be necessarily part of your get home bag that's in your vehicle to change into. And that's going to change with the seasons. And ladies, I would take all your makeup off, have a ball cap or some kind of even a like a boonie hat or something. Try to make yourself as unattractive as you possibly can. Don't be wearing cute shorts and your yoga pants. Wear boy shorts and wear nerdy shorts, the ones that have all the pockets and everything, in case you need to be carrying other things along the way. And I say shorts, I mean, you may need to be wearing pants. Again, this is going to be very specific to what season you're in, but the same thing applies. Something I want to devote some time to is, and I don't want to say it's the number one, it's the funny part about putting this plan together. There are a few number ones. You've got water, food, defense. All these things are number ones here. There's not I hate to say number one, number two, number three, but something that's going to be critical here are your shoes. And I'm going to spend a little time focusing on shoes. You're going to be mostly at work or somewhere where you're wearing dress shoes, maybe work boots, something other than a good walking shoe. I would keep a good pair of hiking shoes in your vehicle, not a pair of tennis shoes. Get something that's waterproof, that you can walk, run, hike, that's kind of good all around shoe. There are a number of companies out here, and you may have to spend a little money on them. I'm going to put some links to some of them that we like, my wife and I, and but kind of give you kind of point you in the right direction. Also, don't use a wore out shoe and don't use a brand new shoe. Get a shoe that's broke in and that is going to fit and isn't going to give you any trouble. Again, this is very critical. This is going to be your mode of transportation now, and you're going to have to depend on them probably more than any other single clothing item you have. Even if it's hot, cold, doesn't matter. You've got to have good shoes. Okay, let's talk about the bag. Last weekend, I set up my bag on the back of my pickup on my tailgate and started going through all the different items. Also, I went through shoes, spent some time doing that. I probably shot 45 minutes of video. It was awful. It was like watching paint dry. So I've decided to show you what bag I use, why I like it, and then I'm going to list the products that are in it in the description with links, that I recommend. I'm looking at keeping my bag as light as I can and serving exactly the purpose I want it to serve. There may be things that you don't see listed in there that you've watched on other videos that people act like are just a must or you got to have. And at the end of the day, if I don't need it, it's not going to be in there. Also, as you're loading your bag, put the heavier things closer to your back and the lighter things away from your back, the way you stack them in your bag. So when you have it, when you're wearing it, obviously those heavier things are closer to you to keep a better center of gravity. All right, we're going to give the shortened version of the bag right here. Hope the wind doesn't get me too bad here. We'll see. This is a Mission First tactical bag. This bag is This format of bag is made by a few different companies, so it doesn't have to be a Mission First, but that's the one I've got. You can get them at Academy. You can get them on Amazon. I have a link for it and a link for everything, almost everything that's in here in the description. I like it because you can open it up all the way to the base, and you can see everything you have in here. Very quickly, it's not waterproof, but I think it's going to be very water resistant. I haven't tested that, but it advertises it as water repellent, and that's important. First thing I did after I got this all together, and keep in mind, I've had a bag in my truck for years. I put it all together. I checked the box and just stuffed it under my seat and forgot about it. So this time I got it together, I weighed it. This pack, surprisingly, is 15 pounds, which, you know, you'd think with no more things that I put in it, it'd be lighter than that, but it's not. It's 15 pounds. And I got to thinking about that. I said, I've never used a backpack really in my life. I'm not a backpack guy. You know, so I decided to take it out and start using it and getting used to that. You know, how that feels and what it looks like. You know, I took it out yesterday for about an hour. Moderate temperatures. I started walking. Within 15 minutes, you know, my shoulders started aching a little bit. You know, I felt it. And certainly within an hour, you know, you're using muscles that your body that you're using muscles that you're not used to using. You know, you're changing your center of gravity. You immediately starts affecting you. I'm going to say this from here on out. When I go walking, I'm going to put this backpack on more often than not, and start just getting used to carrying it. One, it's, you know, better for you. You know, just trying to get a better workout, but I want to get used to carrying this backpack. And I'd encourage people, even if you live in town and you're walking through your neighborhood, you know, put it on and don't worry about people looking at you like you're crazy. You know, I'd wear it. I guess if somebody asks, you can tell them what you want. You might just tell them you're doing it to have the extra weight on your body to be more fit. Okay, to wrap up this video, and I apologize if I've skipped around a little bit, but I do want to hit a few points here at the end. I wanted to make this video to help people plan and, you know, get a plan to get home, you know, and get you thinking about different things that you might need for yourself personally. You know, and some things that I haven't touched on that I probably needed to were think about medications that you have. If there's anything there that you need, make sure you have an ample supply of that. If you wear contacts or glasses, make sure you have everything you need there. Obviously, if you're wearing contacts, you may want to switch over to your glasses during this time period, you know, so that's something to think about. I really didn't go into self-defense here. There are a ton of videos on that you can watch. But what I do want you to think about is when you choose your defense items, I would encourage you to use what you're comfortable with, whatever that is. Of course, I'd always recommend for you to have some form of a firearm of self-defense on you. But if that's something you're not comfortable with, then don't have it. But have, you know, some pepper spray. You know, get obviously a taser is a great item to have. And also keep these items accessible. I really didn't go into that here, but you've got to keep these items where you can get to them quickly. That won't be stuffed away in your pack somewhere. So that's something to be thinking about. Also, with that thought in mind, make sure you keep your hands free. You know, that way if something does happen, you can react, grab what you need, or defend yourself possibly. Keep yourself as agile as you can. I hope you have found this video to be helpful and of some value. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments. You can also email me at contact@PrepperLife.com as well. Thank you for watching PrepperLife. If you found this video to be helpful, please hit the like, follow, and subscribe buttons. Watch for more preparedness tips and product reviews that might be helpful for your readiness plan.